Welcome back to the Fourth and Mile podcast. I'm JD Zaza. That's Nicholas Elliott, and it's time to recap another week of college football. This was the October 12th slate was the week that we all circled at the start of the year, and I don't know about you, but it lived up to the hype. It might have started off a little slow. It didn't even start slow. I was about to say it's about to start slow, but no, not even in the slightest.
I think it would only stop slow at the afternoon slate, but then after that, that was just the appetizer, as some are
Even the
saying.
even the afternoon slate was pretty good. Pretty good. There was like one game that kind of disappointed.
Yep.
So let's head into player spotlights. Nicholas, would you like to take over this one?
Yeah, let's do it. We got Tyler Warren on Penn State with 17 catches, 224 yards, and a touchdown.
Is he
When
their tight end?
Yeah, he's their tight end.
That's insane.
Yeah,
Man,
he put up numbers.
Brewer likes his tight ends.
Yeah,
I didn't look at the stats for that game. That's
he had
insane.
like a leaping touchdown too. I was
Yeah,
off
I
it.
saw that.
He had a big game. It was quite the game. I mean, Penn State got off to a horrible start and still got that win. I mean, it's good win for them. They needed that, especially being top five in the rankings right now. And then Dylan Gabriel, we both touched on it last week that he's been very like mediocre to start the season. He had his best game all year, and that's when
He
you need
looked
it.
like he looks like the Heisman favorite, which he was in the preseason. He was one of the
Yeah,
main candidates to be a Heisman favorite. Throughout the year, he really hasn't looked like it.
no,
Against Ohio State in the it's more so the first half than the second half, he looked really good.
yeah, him and Evan Stewart had a fantastic game. He threw for 341 yards, two touchdowns. I think he didn't even turn the ball
Yeah.
over, so that's a quite efficient game from Dylan Gabriel.
Before
But
before we go into the games that we selected the preview, let's talk about the Penn State USC game because
yeah,
it was a great game. Again, there were so many games, great games this week that we had to cut out some. And sadly, one of them was the Penn State USC game. I was watching this while editing my South Carolina footage, but this was the highlight of the 3:30 slate.
definitely.
2:30 slate. USC gets out to a hot start in the Coliseum, and it looks like another East Coast team is going to fall to a West Coast team. But then the struggles of USC over the past few years came up, and Penn State's offense looks better than previous years. And Aller looked good. He finally settled down. Penn State finally got the run game going, which I thought they were going to blow out USC because I thought they won the line of scrimmage. They really didn't. Not in the first half, anyway. But overall, very impressive performance by Penn State, even though I don't think they're, I think they're overrated. Like they're three right now. I think they
Yeah.
should be like 5, 7 range.
Yeah, they shouldn't top
But they're
five.
undefeated. But they're undefeated. And undefeated's undefeated.
Yeah, I was looking at their schedule. They play a pretty not really a tough schedule the rest of the way. They kind of got
They don't have a tough Big Ten.
They have Ohio State at home. That's their if they should be able to with how their schedule's looking. Their road games are Wisconsin, Purdue, and Minnesota, which they will all be favored in. So it's like they should no hiccups. They could very well end up going 11-1 at worst. And I mean, they could I don't know if they lose two, they would get in just because of the losses, but they probably could, given what the state of the everybody else is around the country. But get back to the game, they dug themselves into I think it was like a 14 nothing hole really quick. They were down by
When I
two
was
possessions.
when I was kind of editing the footage, I was kind of talking with my sports editor. He was like, "Up, James Franklin being the most overrated coach in football. That everyone says he's great. He can't win a big game ever." And then
Yeah,
US
that's big for him.
then USC makes this comeback, and you're like, oh boy, here we go again with Lincoln Riley."
Yep, they were driving late. USC was to get into field goal range to win that game, and then Penn State intercepted the ball, get the get the turnover to force overtime, and then I'm pretty sure they forced a turnover. I can go back. They forced a turnover in overtime, or was it that they missed a field goal?
They
Missed
did,
field goal by USC. Yeah,
like
USC does not look good at all. I mean,
I
they
wouldn't say
three
I
and
wouldn't say
three.
they're a bad football team though. Like all
Yeah,
their
they're
losses, they should have won. Like they
yeah.
easily could have won all their games. It's just
They could be 2-4 if LSU would have held on in that game.
they
But
also could be 6-0 if
yeah,
USC.
all their losses are one possession. All their losses are literally one possession. Yeah, they could be 6-0. Very well could be. But Penn State, you're doing good so far. I mean, I guess that running game, it looks like USC was stopping the running game with Katron Allen and Nick Singleton, but looks like it just wears down over time when you have a guy who can do both passing and running
Yeah,
at two-dimensional offense instead of one. But I guess we can go ahead and move on to the next game if you'd like. I'm
yeah.
gonna get it off to you since you were on the
Let,
field for this game.
let's circle back to the Alabama South Carolina game.
Yeah, let me hear your takeaway since you were on the field for it.
So I was on the field for filming the game. My takeaways: the first drive looked great. They hit a couple fourth downs. That Jeremy Bernard was the main guy for Alabama really the entire day, which was nice to see. Then they get a stop on South Carolina, but then second or third down, the Miller gets the ball. Ryan and he sees Ryan Williams. He beats his corner. He hasn't beat deep, but Milrow misses a deep ball. Like once in a blue moon, Milrow misses a deep ball.
Yeah,
That play switch changed momentum, kind of going, oh, this isn't going to be a blowout. No, 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 Alabama fans. This isn't going to be a blowout. This is going to be a Tom's heartburn, stomach ache game for Alabama. And that's what it was. It wasn't even that Lenore Sellers played good. Like he played good. Like his
he
stat
played
thing's
solid.
really good, but most of his most of his big plays were like hitting a drag route, hitting a hook route, very simple throws. And Alabama's defense is they've got problems, man. Like they're not a good unit. Like I
No,
mean, I'm about this. I'm ready to say it. Like this is a bad unit. Like I always thought, especially the first few, because I was like a bend don't break, but like I can't even say that now. They give up 16 play drives. You have
and they
like
work at the
long
end.
long drives all the time. I'm like, they are the worst Alabama team I've ever seen on third down.
Yep,
This is the
you'll
worst
see.
Alabama defense on third down. They cannot get off the field on third down to save their life, even if it's like third and 9, third and 16.
Yeah,
It, South Carolina had a third and 15, and they
yep,
converted with like a little hook route. It was like,
yep.
oh, good. And it's like, and this was a really good quote from my sports director that they're like, even even in the press box, it's like South Carolina's going to convert it. Even if it's like third and 20, South Carolina's going to convert it. Or if not,
Yep.
they're going to get
That's
really
all.
good.
I mean, it's all it shows on the field. I mean, when you don't until you see it, you're not gonna believe it at that point.
Another thing, Milrow looked off. He was not
Yeah.
great passing the ball. The interception he had the interception he had at the end of the first half was a bad decision. That was
Yeah.
such a bad decision by his part.
They had such a good
But
start, and then he like kind of
but
like
but I didn't love DeBoer's play calling either. Like run the ball. Run the ball. You're going into halftime with a lead. Like, yeah, it doesn't look great. It's not like blow up, but like South Carolina's a good team. So going to the half, no, he throws an interception. The second interception was a little weirder because I didn't see it. I was filming, I was filming Melrose, and I'm following. He's got Ryan Williams. It's either Ryan Williams or Jeremy Bart. I'm like, oh, he's got his corner beat. He gets it. And then the South Carolina picks it off in the end zone. Comes out of nowhere, my friend would go, "Oh, up, South Carolina stopped them. Oh,
Yeah.
South Carolina picked them." I don't know if it was it was definitely like a zone coverage. He played like quarter or a hard flat and just made a play to get back there. But for me, it's like, wait, where did he come from? Up, it's back. South Carolina got the ball back and all the momentum.
That I mean, offense was not was good to start the game and then faded off quickly towards the end of the game. And look, you can't have that if your defense is giving
No,
up long drives because I mean, hate to say it, but possessions are at a premium right now with you giving up 8 minute drives to the opposition, you're getting less drives and less chances to score, and that's
this is
less
Danny.
chances to win ball games. And I think as a whole, I really give credit to South Carolina because their front seven is one of the best in the country right now, and they're giving every team they play, no matter if your quarterback can run, no matter if your quarterback can't even run, they're giving you problems left and right. Doesn't
Here's
matter
the,
who's on the team.
here's the thing I'm going to say for Alabama. They should have lost the game.
Yep.
South Carolina missed so many field goals. The field goal they missed at the end of the third quarter, it went straight to me. I was like at the O and Crimson Tide, like all the way over there.
Yeah.
They should have won that. They should have. Bama sneaks away. Like,
Yeah.
but everyone's saying sneaks away. I go, yep.
What do
And
you
they
think of like the
put the,
last couple minutes of the game?
put the game away. Like, I was going to get straight to that. The final 5 minutes, I was like, in my head, I was like, this could go either way. Like, I don't feel confident, but I believe in Milrow. So the play they ran that get the touchdown was the same thing they tried to do with Ryan Williams on the second pick. Miller just missed the read. He looked the entire time to the right while Ryan Williams was wide open to the left. It's a tough read, but you got to read the field. So this time he hits Jeremy Bernard, and if he goes down,
Ball game's over.
game over. It's game over. Alabama runs the clock out. South Carolina, I think, has one timeout or
I think they had zero. Pretty sure.
one or
They're
zero,
one or zero. One or zero.
one or zero.
But still
But
enough time to where you could either drain out a couple plays and then just score the ball or take a
yeah,
field goal or end
but
it.
but Jeremy Bernard walks in, and you're like, okay, cool, cool. But all right, let's see defense. I believe in the defense. I'll
Right
give
down the field.
I'll give credit to the defense here. They played fine prevent. That was fine prevent. That was fine prevent.
Yeah.
The play I will say though is Nick Harbor made a hell of a play.
I mean, he
And
did.
Lenore Sellers threw a perfect ball. Like you
Yeah.
can't cover a perfect ball and a perfect catch. That I will give the defense some credit for. They played good prevent. They played good enough prevent defense to win the game. It's just you
Yeah.
should have given them the opportunity anyway. Like South Carolina's talented. So Lenore Sellers is young. Nick Harbor's young. I mean, we know him in college football 25. He's
Nick Harbor, that was like he's 6'5", is insane
a
speed. And that was a perfect like back shoulder with a fade, like deep
yeah,
ball.
and that was a
And
great catch.
he boxed out. He boxed out. Who was it? Damani on game coverage,
I
or
believe
was
it's
it Davian? He boxed him out, made a perfect catch, and then
Davian didn't even play bad coverage. He played good
yeah,
coverage.
you left him the pylon area, and that's like 2 or 3 feet, and he made a perfect throw and catch. So you just kind of have to like tip your cap there. But let's
So
get into the second 2 point play where I mean he
the,
missed a wide open throw on that. I mean, what do you
he
think of that?
did. Norris always did.
Yeah,
If he makes that, it's a two
tie
point.
game.
No, this is like
They were up by 8.
no, they weren't. Not this
Yeah,
part. No,
going for two, they
Nick
were.
Harper scores a touchdown, and then the 2 point conversion. They get the game ended 27-25, correct?
Yeah, if they would have hit that 2 point, they
If
would
they
have tied
get
it.
that, it's a tie game. If they get the
Yeah.
play, it's a tie game. But
Then you
they
don't have what happens next.
so the 2 point play, it's a great play. He's wide open. It was
Yep.
right at my angle. Lenore's just misses him.
He had two guys wide open.
And
He took too long. I think he hesitated on the throw and he
and
missed
I
it.
feel bad for Lenore's like it's a tough play. Like running out to the right and hitting a
Yeah.
guy, people take it for granted, but it's a tough throw to make. You actually do yourself like in pads. running out to the right and throwing the crossbody. It's tough.
Not many guys can make that in
No,
college,
but
at least.
should he have made the throw? Yes.
Yeah,
But then you're like, okay, Alabama survives. Like they did, it didn't look great, but they're gonna have one loss going into Tennessee. And then the onside kick happens.
which was an insane drop kick.
It was a bat. He just I rewatched the I rewatched it after while editing. I was like, it's just a bad play by the hands team. He had it in his hands.
Yeah, it went straight under him, but the spin affected it. He had some insane spin on it. It's like he was at a golf course,
It was a great
maybe
onside
10
kick,
high, and just
but it should have been caught by Bama.
definitely, but it
So
went
then
straight
South
under,
Carolina gets the ball back with a chance to win the game with a field goal.
which they don't
And
even trust their field goal kicker, so they were trying to go for the
oh,
touchdown.
they probably would have gotten to range. And they got close. They were about at the 50-yard line for the final play. So the final play, Lenore Sellers gets pressured. Alabama finally got pass rush on the most important play. Lenore throws it up there and gets picked up by Domani. Great. He almost kneels it. He almost kneels it in the back of the end zone. But thank God for Malachi Moore.
Definitely. That was hats off to Malachi there.
Like, get out. Because if he kneels, that's a
The,
safety, and we're
yeah,
going
because
into over in the most
the
bizarre game I've ever seen.
the ref threw out his beanbag too, so it would have been a definite
Yeah.
safety anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Like
that's the game. I mean, really, like we'll get into it in
they
the preview
survived.
for this weekend. They survive. You just kind of just tip your cap to South Carolina. They played a good game, and you just kind of hope that it's a you learn from it. I take it back. This game didn't really remind me of it much, but this kind of reminded me of last year's Arkansas game, 11 a.m. game,
Yeah.
and you
They
get
still
up
played
to a
good at
big
11
lead late,
a.m.
big lead early,
And I
and then
thought
you
they were ready to go. But
yeah
I thought of this after the game and during this game. Even at Washington, DeBoer had trouble with these games that he won these games, but he never won. He never blew a team out, a team they should have. Remember the Arkansas? Remember they almost lost the Apple Cup
yeah.
last year? They had
It's
some
very
tight games. DeBoer does not know how to. DeBoer's teams, his Washington teams, and then this year's Alabama team have not figured out how to. This is what Nick Saban did so well, and Alabama fans taking it for granted. When we were on the throat, we kept our foot on the throat. DeBoer, he's got to learn that. He's a young coach, but you got to learn to put your foot on the throat. Do not give them any life. He almost squeaked past. He almost lost the Georgia game because of it, and he almost lost the South Carolina game because of it.
yeah. I mean, he's kind of a big game guy. He gets up for big games and stuff. So I'm not really like worried because he has a good track record. So it's
He's a
like not
winner.
really worried. But
Alabama win. They won. Like
yeah, you take your wins.
all
Wins
you can say is a
don't
win
come at a premium
and
now.
just watch the filming, learn it. But it's frustrating because you look at every game on you look at every game on Bama's schedule and you're like the Oklahoma game, for instance. They should beat Oklahoma.
Yeah,
We'll
you,
talk
you
about
kind of question like the
you're
results, like
like
the
where you're like,
prediction.
we can't blow a team out. Like Vanderbilt and South Carolina, those were two of the easier ones at the start of the year, but we lost to Vanderbilt, and then they almost lost to South Carolina.
Don't sleep on Vanderbilt now. They beat Kentucky
And then
now.
South Florida, another one.
Yeah,
Should have beat them by more, but So
yeah.
yeah,
That's kind of our outlook. We're
a
still a
win.
lot of the season to be played, but let's head into the night slate. And
You want
wow,
to here, let's get this one out of the way before we get into the S
yeah,
tier. Texas blows out Oklahoma.
yeah, we can do this pretty
So
quickly.
for me, this game was more onto Oklahoma than it was Texas.
Me
Texas
too.
played their B minus game and blew out Oklahoma. They did not play great, but they won. Texas is a really good football team. Like national championship level. They're good on the offensive line, defensive line. This is why I wanted Sark as the Bama coach. Like I saw this Texas is really good. But this game was more so on Oklahoma. You really could have used Dylan
Definitely.
Gabriel. They really could have used Dylan Gabriel there. And
I'm
Michael Hawkins, he's a freshman, but why not throw in Jackson Arnold? At least in the second half? That the
yeah.
defense got gassed. The defense played fine. It's just they were on the field for like 40 minutes because Oklahoma couldn't sustain a drive. You're going to get a 20 plus yard play. I mean,
Yeah, I
look,
feel bad for OU for that defense. They played solid and look, OU is just beat up on offense. You can't really get blame Michael Hawkins. He could have done a little better, but like
but I'm like,
they're
they didn't even
down four
trust
or
him to
five
pass the
receivers.
ball. They didn't even trust him to pass the ball.
Yeah, they
I knew
probably should have.
Oklahoma's offensive line would be pretty bad this year, but I never would have expected Oklahoma to not be able to pass the football. Like
Yeah,
Dylan
they don't have
Gabriel,
anybody to throw it to.
Dylan Gabriel made some big plays last year's Red River, but Oklahoma let him go. They were like, "Yeah, go ahead, walk. We got Jackson Arnold," and they give up to him. They give up on him way too early. He would probably redshirt and transferred to somewhere like I don't know Auburn or some place like that.
I feel bad for their. Hopefully, their receivers can get healthy, or else it's just going to get worse from here because it's only going to get tougher in this conference as the season goes on. But Texas, they played good. They have a big matchup this weekend, so they kind of got a
They've
good
got the big
for
one.
them that they got a kind of comfortable win in the rivalry game, so they can.
Texas got the big one this week.
Yeah, but let's head into the nightcap. We got
What game do you
three
want to
insane
start with in the
games.
nightcap? Because
Let's
there
start
were
with
three
the.
outstanding games that I wish I had multicast for.
Let's start with in my opinion, the game of the night. LSU holding strong at in Death Valley, defeating Ole Miss, giving Ole Miss a loss number 2 on the season. I'll give it.
This
I'm.
game was so weird to watch.
Yep,
It
we
was
both called it though.
we both called it, but it was not like anyone else thought. Ole
No.
Miss, Ole Miss should be kicking themselves because both their losses they should have won. Ole Miss dominated that first half against LSU. How many times were they in the red zone, and how many points did they come up with? Three. They like
Yeah,
here.
Garrett Nussmeier was keeping them in the game with missing
On the
easy
first half,
throws.
on the first half, their defense, Garrett Nussmeier couldn't do.
No, that's what I'm saying. Keeping Ole Miss, like keeping their defense, yes, but I'm saying Ole Miss should have taken. This is what I mean. Ole Miss should have taken advantage of Garrett Nussmeier's average play in the first half with the interceptions and the turnovers and whatnot, and they just couldn't. But this is what happens. I mean, Ole Miss's defense played good. Both defenses played good. I didn't expect it, but
Yeah, they both played really good.
when your offense can't move the ball for Ole
Here
Miss,
you
you know,
go. You ready for Ole Miss's drive chart?
yeah,
All right, here we go. Ole Miss. Let me make sure I've got this right. Yeah, ready? Punt. Punt, missed field goal. Turnover on missed field goal from the LSU 15.
yeah, that was
Turnover
like a
on downs on the LSU 4. Field goal. Touchdown, touchdown, fumble, end of half. They
look.
left. They left 13 points on they left 13 points on the board. No, I'll even say more. They left 20 points on the board on the
Definitely.
first three drives.
Look, shout out to Blake Baker, man. Ole Miss is, I mean, LSU's defense is playing like they're playing without a lot of guys that they've lost to injury, like
Missouri's,
Harry Perkins.
Missouri's missing him.
Yeah, definitely. How about Brian Weeks, number 40 on LSU? He had a big game. He was
SEC,
all over the field.
did he win Defense Player of the Week?
He would have if I was voting. He was all over the
He
field
didn't
with
win.
sacks.
He
I
didn't win.
think, I would guess that he won, but I'm not
Better
100% sure.
won it.
Check.
That's a cardinal sin if he didn't.
Yeah, he played
Out,
awesome.
he was outstanding.
Their secondary played good. I mean, their secondary played pretty good. And then LSU plays average the whole game offensively, and then they turned it on in the fourth
Yeah,
quarter
with
overtime when they needed
with
to.
Weeks, 11
It was
solo tackles, 7 assisted tackles, 1 forced fumble, 1 sack, and 2 tackles
yeah,
for loss.
he was beast.
That a beast.
And what's
And they needed this with Harold Perkins going out.
yeah, they
Then
get
LSU finally gets it going. Aaron Anderson, that guy's making plays for LSU. They needed that because with their running backs out. And Nussmeyer and LSU, they're right now rising. They're sneaky playoffs. That game against
sneaky. They
Alabama,
got
that game
this
against Alabama,
weekend's game.
that game against Alabama on November 9th is going to be a massive game for both.
Well, this game is kind of or this weekend's game that they have that we'll get into later is a trap game.
Oh yeah, it's a trap game. But let's talk about the overtime.
Yeah. Ole
Ole Miss,
Miss.
thank Ole. You saw Lane Kiffin. He was like, "Thank God I got a kicker. Thank God I got a kicker." How many? They were all the way back on the 50 because of holding penalties and
The
false
same
start.
kicker missed like a 30-yarder though.
Yeah, but he made the
Or
most
a
important
56
play of the
yarder.
game. It was like,
Yeah, can't doubt him.
oh, thank God. But then LSU's like, all right, let's end this game. One play, fade route the Kyron Lacey over, I believe, Trey Harris. No,
Nice.
Trey Amos,
Look,
Alabama.
shout out to Kyron Lacey. He had an injury that we both were texting, and I was like, "There's no way he's coming back in that game."
Oh yeah,
And he came back in the game, and he was balling out. He had that
he was
couple
awesome.
big plays.
He had 16 targets for 111 yards, and his
Yeah,
one touchdown was the game of the end. I mean,
and yeah, that was a great play call, and they stormed the field, and that atmosphere is always rocking. I loved it. There were a ton of
LSU.
stars out.
Here's the thing I learned: LSU's undefeated with Brian Kelly at night in Death Valley.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody's out on LSU after like week 1 and 2, and then
They're week one only.
they
It's
come
like,
out the grave. It's like that WWE meme that everybody does when he's in the grave and he
yeah,
just comes out.
but
That
yeah,
happens every year.
but this is what the 12 team does. This is what the 12 team playoff does. A team that Clemson, another Tigers team, Clemson's like this too, where it's like everyone writes
Yeah.
them off dead, but then they're like,
I feel really good
up and
about
up.
Clemson where they are right now in the ACC, but LSU as a whole, I feel really good about them moving forward compared to Ole Miss.
I do too.
Because a lot of LSU's games at home are they're tougher games, except for that game in 2 weeks against A&M, and then the Arkansas game is a tough game at home on the road as well. So
That
they
game later.
back to back sneaky tough games on the road for LSU. But
We gotta
yeah,
get
let's get
get
going.
moving a little bit. Let's talk about Tennessee, Florida.
Yeah,
Tennessee survives Florida. So it wasn't just Alabama struggling before the third Saturday of October. It was also Tennessee.
if Graham Mertz played that full game, if he didn't get injured, Florida probably wins.
Fireway didn't even play bad. He made
He
the best
didn't,
play of
but
the
they were moving the ball. Graham Mertz is making much better throws that Lagway was not making.
But okay, here's the one I'm more. Ole Miss in the first half was bad, but not compared to Florida. Florida had an upset win, a statement win, a win that could have saved Billy Napier's job. You go on the road and beat Tennessee
Yeah,
in a big rivalry, but they blow it.
yeah.
And this is what frustrates Florida fans about Napier. He can't win this one.
He always coaches good against Tennessee, though. He always coaches them close.
Yeah.
But really,
But this
I
game,
think people are starting to figure out Tennessee. Yeah, it's really bad. But what do you think? SEC teams are starting to scheme better against Hypo. Like what do you think's wrong with that offense right now?
I listen to. I don't think it's anything that. I think it's just Nico's inexperience. I think it's Nico's inexperience, and it's just a young. I think people are doing better, but also Nico's been missing throws and missing reads that he should be that he's been making.
Yep.
So I'm not worried about Tennessee's offense. It has looked off.
Yeah.
He's showing that no, he's not a Heisman contender. Nico's not a Heisman contender
Yeah.
as a freshman. He's like every other freshman. He's like every other freshman besides like Trevor Lawrence. He has some flaws. No big deal.
Yep.
See, defense looks really good. Their defensive line's good, but Tennessee's Tennessee and Tennessee and Alabama are very similar to me. But one side, their strength is for Alabama, we all thought their strength would be on offense, and that's what it is. And their weakness is their defense. Tennessee's the complete opposite. Everyone thought, oh, Tennessee's defense is going to be their weak point, but their offense is going to be great. It's the complete opposite for Tennessee. Their strength is their defense, while their weakness is the offense, which is weird to say under Josh Heupel. And what do you? I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
in,
Another thing on Florida before we move on, I wish they would have gone for the win there right after they
I do too.
had it. You have nothing to lose at this point, Billy. If you want to sneak away, your best chance was going for two there and pulling it out of the hat.
Yeah,
I agree with you in Tennessee. They're very similar with Alabama. I'd say their defense is definitely their strength right now. I mean, they got to get their passing game going. Their running game's good with Dylan Sampson.
Dylan Sampson is he's good, but
Yeah,
but you can't really do that. You can't really rely on Dylan Sampson because you can stack the box against him. Nico's got to be able to make these throws, but he made some bad reads, and Florida should have won this game. I'm.
yeah.
It's as simple as that. Florida blew it, and
What's
it's not really because of the. It's not really because of like, oh, they had him. I'm like, Florida had like how many drives did they have in the red zone in the first half?
at least like four or five?
Yeah.
Yeah, alrighty. That was a good. We're both very
But
questioning Tennessee. We're not really. I mean, Florida is Florida at this point. They're not.
SC survives. They're like Alabama. They struggle with the teams. They wake up for big games, but
We'll
struggle.
see about this weekend with Tennessee. I mean, they'll definitely be up for this week's game. But let's head out to Autzen real quick. I mean, that was
Game of
quite
the
the
year.
game.
Game of the year. Can't that Ohio State, Oregon, Georgia, Alabama, two of the biggest games of the year that everyone hyped up. They've both been two thumbs up. They've both been outstanding games.
Yeah,
Oregon
I'll get the.
squeaks it out.
Yeah, it was nothing really. It was really a back and forth game. They missed like a clear interception early in the game that
Yeah.
Oregon had that continued the Ohio State drive. I mean, Ohio State seemed like both teams were moving the ball at will, which I mean, not really shocked to both of us, considering the offensive weapons they
Yeah.
both had. Trayshawn Holden got ejected for spitting on a player, which was kind of funny to see.
I was laughing. It's not
Yeah,
really because of him. I was just like, that's the
why
most
you why would
random
you do
thing,
that? Yeah,
against Ohio State.
yeah.
But to be
Let's really
honest,
get back to the. Let's get ahead to the end of the game situation. That what do
hold
you
on,
think?
I want to put this thing one more before we head into the end game. I thought Ohio State was going to win this game the entire time because it's like
Yeah,
Oregon has their trickery. I'm like, okay, yeah, they're throwing trickery, they're getting luck. I mean, the onside kick they got.
that was the luckiest thing I've
That
seen.
I'm like, okay. But when the second half happens, I think Ohio State's run game, and I think Smith will make a play, and Ibuka will make a play, and Ohio State will squeak this out. But both these teams are really good. That's really what I thought. Ohio State just didn't have that play. They didn't have that drive where it's like, that's it. That's what's been missing from Ohio State with Ryan Day. Oregon had that drive.
Yeah,
Gabriel, every drive that he needed to respond, make a big play, he did. And this is the frustrating thing with Ohio State. They know they're good. They know they're national championship contenders. They just can't make the plays that that they need to. Those big clutch plays, they really haven't since Ryan Day. With
And
Ryan, like the field goal against Georgia in the Peach Bowl, the
yep,
Michigan not being able to stop the run against Michigan, McCord not being able to drive down the field. It's just
yeah.
one thing after the other. But see, everyone's saying Ryan Day should be
Yeah.
fired. No, no, come on, guys. Like Ohio State lost by one
There's a
point.
guy who there's a guy on who works at Barstool w's eating like
He
at least 300. He's eating all these peeps. He made like
three
all
hundred.
these challenges.
It's 320 peeps for 32 points.
Yeah. Every
That,
time Ohio State
that
loses.
because he was so confident, and I love watching these Ohio State fans. Like all these State fans talk all the crap about. Oh,
Yeah.
we didn't buy any of these players. We're going to win the national championship. We're the best team ever. Our defense is going to be the best ever. Got torched by Oregon. Got torched.
Oregon, yeah. Shout out Dan. How about the let's get into the quick end game real quick. How about the 12 men on the field at the end of the game?
Yeah, they already came out with saying, yeah, no more of that. No more of that.
Yeah, that was quite the big brain
It
move.
was genius. It was genius. Like,
Yeah,
what am I supposed to say? Like he found a loophole.
yeah, he did.
That's what I'm saying. Like Oregon had the luck. They just had it.
And then the QB run late. Like you got to look at your realize how much time's on the clock left there, Will Howard. You can't go run into the middle of the field.
But the play that really killed him was the Jeremiah Smith play. Offensive pass interference
Yep.
because he's too strong. He's just too strong.
Yeah, and that was a
I
clear
thought,
offensive
I thought
pass
Jeremiah
interference.
was going to make a play kind of like Ryan Williams. He never did.
He scored though, I think.
He did, but he never made like that play where it's like, we need you.
Evan Stewart played really good. He
Did. But
true. He was kind of like hidden all year. They kind of forgot that he went there. They have so many good receivers on that team.
to wrap it up, would either of us be surprised that if this is the Big Ten championship?
No,
No.
unless Penn State pulls it out
Unless
and
Penn State finally wins a big game. And
yeah,
last thing before we hit the break, Autzen Stadium was rocking.
yeah.
Like everyone was like, "Oh, Oregon should be getting ready for the Big Ten." One other thing that Big Ten teams should get ready for Oregon when they came in. Overall, great game. And let's get into the previews. What game do we want to start with? I think we should start with let's not be Alabama biased for once and start with the the one of the games of the week. The number one overall the number one overall team in the nation, the Texas Longhorns, hosting the Georgia Bulldogs. And I have a little trivia question for you. When was the last time Texas hosted a top five game?
Let's see. Probably like 2009.
Closer than I thought. You're 2006. The
I
last
just
time
did 2009 because that was the last time they've been the Natty.
the last time they won a game, they won a top five matchup was back in the 80s when they beat Nebraska.
That's crazy.
This is the biggest game that Texas is hosting probably since the LSU game back in 2019 when Burrow and Chase came in.
Yeah, this is a big game, but really, I
Texas
think
doesn't get Texas doesn't get like big games at home, but
um, they have this game, and then I'm pretty sure they have the F1 race like the next day.
yeah,
So
it's
they
like
got it all.
double feature.
Yeah, I'd say what's hit the Georgia side first. I think really I am very worried about Georgia. I mean, they let Mississippi State stay close. Mississippi State's not good at all, and they're terrible. And they were able to move the ball up and down the field. They were able to force some stops on Carson Beck, but Georgia's Georgia, so they kind of just slept walk and won that game. But maybe they would just look ahead to this week, hopefully for Georgia's sake. But I'm very worried for them because they have not looked good defensively, and
No.
Texas offenses look. I mean, they haven't had their insane game yet. I guess in the Michigan game when they had Quinn fully healthy, But Quinn played average last week coming off injury, and they still beat him bad.
So
But yeah,
I've done some research for my work. I'm doing the around the SEC package for WVUA this week, and this is one of the top games I'm talking about. I was listening to Kirby Smart's press conference on Monday, and he said he don't. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but when he talked about Texas's defense, he goes, "It reminds me of our best teams. Like they're fast, they're physical, they're deep." So he has a ton of praise for this Texas team. The thing I'm worried about with Georgia are two things. One, can Carson Beck finally have a big game in college? He hasn't had a big game in a big moment in college. He came close against Alabama, but then Ryan Williams said no.
night.
And then Carson Beck has a chance to go, but then he throws a terrible interception to Xavier Brown. Can Carson Beck outduel Quinn Ewers? I don't think so.
I don't think he has to outdo him to win. It's more
They
so
just
if
gotta, they
defense can
gotta,
come up.
he cannot throw. He's got to play better than the Alabama game. The Alabama game really worried me about Carson Beck. I'm like, what are you looking at? He made some bad reads against
Yeah.
Alabama.
He needs to play
And
turnover
this
free.
game, same thing. You're going to go into a hostile environment against Texas, probably a better defense than Alabama's. Definitely that.
Definitely.
Definitely,
Definitely.
definitely this year's. An offense that won't let up. And it's harder to stop this offense than probably DeBoer's. The
Yeah,
other
and
thing I'm worried about with Georgia is one thing that everyone's been talking about is they are allergic to starting fast. Georgia cannot start fast. They always fall behind and look sloppy in the first half, and then they turn it on. In the Auburn game, they did that. The Mississippi State game, they did that. The Clemson game, the Alabama game, probably every game they play, they just start slow. They cannot start fast. And if you do that against Texas, game's over. Game's
yeah,
over.
I think another worry for me on Georgia's side, their secondary has not been that good either. And then when you're going up against guys like Isaiah Bond, especially and you have
The,
Jaden
Alabama,
Blue
the
now.
Georgia killer in the SEC championship, Isaiah Bond.
Yep. And then you have what's it? Uh Jaden Blue coming out the backfield. He's a good pass
Yeah.
catcher too. I forget some of their other receivers. They have good receivers this year. They're kind of going unnoticed, but they worry me because Malachi Starks has not been good lately. He was getting beat left and right by this
I
Mississippi
still think
State.
he's the second best safety in football, in college football, only
Yeah.
behind Caleb Downs.
They're missing Smile Mondon badly in that
Yeah.
linebacking group. I'm
But I
look,
also
go against Georgia because they've been so elite these past couple seasons, but dang, Texas, I mean, Texas is kind of like better than them right now in all facets of the game.
let's I'm also gonna now, as I said this, I am also worried about Texas.
Yeah.
Georgia has
They had it easy.
some things advantage over Texas. The main thing, they've played in big games this year. What's Texas' biggest game they played?
And they went into the big house and won
The
big. I mean, I guess it's kind of a big game, like hyped up because you win the big house. But like another thing is they played closer games. Texas hasn't really had to play any
if
close
Georgia
games at
keeps
all.
this close, do you really trust when it gets tough? Do you really trust Steve Sarkisian's offense to if they take away the explosive plays, do you really trust the offensive line in Texas to beat Georgia? I think Georgia can easily win this game.
Yeah,
Like
I think I
like
agree with you.
everyone's like all the media's like, oh, Texas, Texas, Texas. I'm like, there's an easy script for Georgia to win this game. And they
Keep it
probably
close.
could. I'm not saying they should, but it's like 50-50. Like Georgia, I like their defensive line. I think their defensive line, they're more experienced than Texas. Texas got a ton of talent. I don't know if they're gonna play good, but also they got home field. I don't know how Daryl K. Royals going to be compared to Brian Denny. Maybe Brian Denny was the most hostile environment Georgia will play all year. I don't know. I don't know. but I think Georgia has the experience, and that's the thing where I'm like, in my head, I'm like Texas, but what has college football taught me over the years? And it taught me this for the USC game, Michigan game, which I was also 50-50 with. What do I trust more? Home field or experience? It's a tight game, and I cannot wait to watch it. I mean,
Yeah, last things before we get into it.
two of the top teams, like two top college football national
Program.
championship programs, probably the two best teams in the SEC right now. Probably,
Yeah, probably. I I think look, Georgia's kind of like sleptwalked through these past couple games, and they really haven't been tested lately. Texas, I
but
mean,
they
the both
circled
teams
this
have
game. They
that. Yeah,
circled this Texas game
I
though.
think both teams have really. I think I said it for Georgia; they've been sleepwalking, but Texas too. They've been sleepwalking since week two. So it's like
And
who can come out on top in a close game? That's
and the
really, I
thing
think
about
we both
Texas,
lean.
and the thing about Texas is they haven't been tested. Why are they
Yeah.
number one? It's because they've looked the most dominant, but they haven't been tested. They played a Michigan team that can't pass the ball, and they played an Oklahoma team that passed the ball. Those are the two best wins.
And that's why I think that if it does get
Mississippi
close
State gave
to
them
the end,
troubles. Mississippi State gave more trouble to Texas than Michigan and Oklahoma combined.
definitely. And I think what you mean is by Texas hasn't played a close game. Georgia has, even though they lost, they still have played close games. So
They
like,
could have easily won the game.
I mean,
Georgia,
they had the lead when 2 minutes left.
yeah, but then Ryan Williams happened.
Yeah, so it's like if it gets close towards the end, I think I kind of trust Georgia more. I mean, would you agree on that?
I would, but also I'm like
I think I would trust Sark more if
is
he had
the
the ball
better
last.
Texas is the better team on paper though.
Yeah.
Texas looks like the more complete team, but I don't know.
Yeah, this isn't a very interesting game because I could see it going either way. Look,
Yeah.
they're
Like
both
I'm not like the media where it's like Texas, Texas, Texas. I'm like
Georgia.
you know
Georgia
what?
loses this game. They have to win out. I mean, I still think if they go 10-2,
They
they're in. They're definitely in if they go 10-2
they're
or
in
10.
it. They're 10-2. If their two losses are to Alabama
Yeah, they're definitely
and
in.
Texas on the road, they're fine. They got one they got two more big games on their schedule left.
Ole
They
Miss.
got Ole Miss, who's going to be who's going to be probably really good by the time they play them, and then they're going to play Tennessee.
Yeah,
And
and
we don't know what Tennessee's going to be.
if Georgia loses this weekend, that Ole Miss Georgia game will be so intriguing because both teams will
And the
be it'll be a
Tennessee game.
win and you
And the
stay alive.
Tennessee game. And the Tennessee game. Whatever happens in the third Saturday, October, that Georgia Tennessee game is going to be
Yeah.
massive.
Speaking of this third Saturday in October, let's get into it. I mean, what are your
Battle
keys
of
to victory for Alabama, and then we could get keys to victory for Tennessee. Would start
here's
with Alabama.
here's my take on this game. This is the battle of two of the most confusing teams this year. These are the two teams of all the teams I've watched this year that are like I've really watched. These are the two most confusing teams because when both these teams are clicking, they're national championship contenders. Both these teams are.
Yeah, I feel like
But
people
also,
like
but also they haven't clicked as much as I thought they would. Both teams. It's not just Tennessee. I mean, maybe if Tennessee looked bad against Arkansas, but then dominated front, I'm like, maybe Tennessee's a home team. But no, they struggled against the Florida team. Alabama, same thing. I thought they lose to Vanderbilt, and you're like, maybe they're just a good road team, better a better home team than a road team, which really what they are. But then they struggle against South Carolina. Both teams have struggled against mid SEC teams, which compared to any other conference, probably better than every other mid tiers conference.
yeah,
I take mid tier. I take South Carolina, Arkansas, or Florida against the middle of the Big Ten. I take them over that. But again, these are the two most confusing teams this year. And I'll let you answer your own question. What are the keys to the game for Tennessee and Alabama? Because I already
Uh,
know Alabama's key to the game.
get off the field on third down.
It's the most obvious thing ever. Can what they should do, Alabama should do, stack the box and make Nico beat you. Because last year, Hendon Hooker beat. Last time you played Neyland, Hendon Hooker beat you. But then you played Joe Milton. He couldn't beat you. He couldn't beat you when you stop the run. Alabama should be able to watch last year's game and go, how do we got to stop Dylan Sampson. If Alabama stops Dylan Sampson, I think they win the game. If they hold him to about 100 yards or fewer, they Alabama wins the game. It's as simple as that for
Yeah.
me.
And I think at least for Dylan or not Dylan Sampson, but Alabama like defending against the run. They defended against the run again really well against Georgia. They weren't really giving up big plays. And then Vanderbilt happened and they were giving up it seemed like they were giving up a lot. I think it was only 3 yards a carry, but that was because they were running it so much. But Cedric Alexander was getting
The
big
Vanderbilt game
carries on
is
him.
weird to me because I'm like, they ran a triple option. South Carolina, they held Raheem Sanders to, they did pretty good against Raheem Sanders and Lenore Sellers. Like
Yeah.
that wasn't the problem. They just gave up they just couldn't get off the field. And that's the problem with this band defense. It's not that they're bad at anything. They're not bad against the pass. They're not bad against the run either. They're just one of the worst at getting off the field. Like they're like 125th in time on the field. Like they are always on the field. That's the big thing with it. That's the most frustrating thing about this defense is this defense is good. Just get off the field on third down.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. Get off the field on third down, and I think the key to victory is Nico having a big game, having
He's gonna
get
have
his
that.
game of the
He's
year,
gonna have. You brought him in.
and
You brought
trusting
him
him.
in to be Hendon Hooker, better than Hendon Hooker. This is his first third Saturday October, and he gets him in Neyland
I feel like they've been giving Nico like they've been running it a lot more than they did with Hooker. At
because they
least,
have to. Because they
yeah.
have to.
I mean, they have some big name receivers. They're just like I guess they've been hurt. I mean,
They
they
got
got all
players on
got
the
hurt.
inside. They got Tyquan Thornton. They got Score White, who will both be there. But I think it's just because
McCoy.
they're like Nico. They're worried about Nico making a read, and that's due to his inexperience. And I get it, but let's flip to the other side. How does Tennessee win this game? In my opinion, it's not really Nico.
Tennessee, their
It's
defense.
not really Dylan Sampson. Can they put pressure on Milrow? Because the secondary of Tennessee is vulnerable. That is their weakness, and it's what everyone's seen. Taylon Green was able to dice it up. The backup
Yep.
quarterback for Arkansas was able to dice it up. Lagway was able to dice it up. Mertz was able to dice it up. Milrow is the best of them all, of what they've seen. Best quarterback Tennessee has seen all year, and it's not even close. The way Tennessee wins this game is they put pressure on Milrow. Like
Yeah, I think those
if they
played
contain
Miller.
Milrow, if they contain Milrow, like it's as simple as that. If Milrow has time in the pocket, Alabama's going to win the game.
Yeah, they've already played like a Milrow like player with Taylon Green, and Taylon Green, like you said, diced them up with both his legs and with his arm. So it's like again containing him, and then they got to contain him in the pocket. They got to get pressure because pressure really gave him trouble last week with South Carolina. And I mean, it's hard to emulate that because Alabama's offensive line is only going to continue to improve with more reps
Yeah,
altogether.
Alabama's going to have to run the ball.
Yeah,
One thing I thought Alabama was going to be better at this year is, but they really haven't is they don't run the ball. I'm like, why are you not running the ball? They don't run the ball. Like, why?
another stat that kind of annoyed me is Joe Milrow having to run it 19 times against South Carolina. I mean, you cannot have that. You need
Justice or Jam or
it
Rich.
seems like most of them are. not like it's most of them are designed runs. It's not like he's running out of the pocket 19 times.
And
I
I don't
mean,
understand that because if you Kalen DeBoer had a really good rushing game at Washington, and Penix didn't rush it. It was Dylan Johnson, remember?
yeah,
Like he ran. Look, this again. Here's the thing for Tennessee. They are very thankful this game's in Neyland because Milrow, granted, he has not played a big game on the road, like a huge game like this on the road in his career. What was his
yeah.
big game on the road? The Texas A&M game last year?
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that.
This is the toughest environment he'll go to this year so far on the road. And this game, whoever loses this game, you're not out, but you're gonna have to win out. And both these teams have not easy back halves of the schedule.
No, not at all. Yeah, I'm very. Everybody was hyped. Both these teams were getting nice national championship praise after week 3 and 4, and now it's both big question marks and everything's being revealed. It's just which team can come out on top. It's always an interesting rivalry.
Both of them is both of them are about on the same schedule. They both look dominant through week three.
Yep,
Tennessee gets their statement win against NC State. Alabama gets their statement win against Georgia. They both lose. They both lose on the road in week 5 or 6, and then they both struggle on October 12th. They've been very
look,
they've been the most they've been the same. They've been the exact same
I
all year.
think I think one thing we both know is that it's going to be a close game. I would be
Oh
shocked
yeah.
if Alabama won by
Because
more than
This
if Alabama won by a two possession, like 14 plus. I'd probably be
I will
surprised.
bet I would bet someone going Georgia Texas is going to be there's a better chance of Georgia Texas being a blowout than this game easily.
Yep, definitely.
And will Kalen DeBoer
All right,
and another thing, will
this will be an interesting
DeBoer
game for sure.
Kalen DeBoer needs this win like pretty he kind of needs this win a little more than Heupel because like Heupel's got his statement win. He's got his wins. DeBoer has to get his like a win because he's
On the
under
road.
fire. He's under fire. Is it all Grant? Is it all justified? No,
Mm.
no. But also, it's Alabama, man. I'm sorry, but it's part of the job. It's
Part
part
of
of
the
the job.
let's head let's head into this is a very interesting game, a trap game in particular that I'm looking forward to watching because at night LSU heading into Fayetteville with Arkansas coming off of a bye. Look, this game it's very interesting to me because both teams are coming off big wins. You got the Tennessee win for Arkansas with the bye week, and then you have LSU beating Ole Miss, and both teams are riding highs. I think Taylor Green, he's pretty sure last week we said he's going to be available,
It's
so I'm pretty
another night game in Fayetteville.
yep. And
Another
this is for the boot. This is a rivalry game. This
Golden
is
Boot, man. One of the best trophies in
yeah.
football. It's a masterpiece of a trophy.
And this is a very interesting game with Sam Pittman getting his big win. I mean, if he gets this win, his job security is like he can keep
Oh,
his house.
he's done. He's staying.
Yeah, his
Another thing that's interesting about this game is when you look at Arkansas' schedule, if they win this game against LSU, Arkansas is a true threat. Arkansas, you got to really look at Arkansas for the SEC. Like they would have one SEC loss.
they should be undefeated. They should be like one loss team at worst right now. They
Yeah, Arkansas, if they win this game, you got to start talking about them in the SEC championship picture because do they have tough games left? But yeah, but they have one loss in conference. If one loss in conference, and they should have beat a team that is imploding on themselves.
and I trust them a lot.
This is a massive, Massive trap game for LSU. Coming off a emotional win, everyone's hyping you up now. You're the media spotlight now. Nussmeyer, you're the media spotlight. But how improved is that defense? You're going on the road. It LSU, we all know this. They're a different team on the road than they are in Death Valley.
Yep. I feel like for me is if Arkansas, not Arkansas, but LSU's front seven can contain Taylon Green in the pocket because he is so dangerous with his feet, even his arm. He's a great passer. I thought he was not really as good of a passer coming into Arkansas, but he surprised me a lot. He's a really fun quarterback to watch, and it seems like they chose the right guy over KJ Jefferson,
The
who's
most
benched.
important, the most important, we're going to get Bobby Petrino versus Baker. That is going to be a fascinating war of coaching. But
Yep,
for me, it's Garrett Nussmeier is the key of the game. If he starts hot, unlike he did against Ole Miss, and they're going up like 14-0 early, game over. Just game over. If Garrett
Arkansas's defense
Nussmeier
is
gets
good
hot
too.
early, they're not losing. They're not.
Yep,
But if they can do exactly what they did with Tennessee, with Nico, where they
gave him a hard time in the
became
pocket.
frustrated. Nico was obviously getting frustrated. Should have made some reads. When you get a quarterback frustrated, especially a quarterback that hasn't played a ton of football, that's when trap games happen.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you on that. And I think LSU's, I think they're getting CJ Daniels back from injury too. That's
That's
another
that's
receiver.
that's nice.
That's another piece in the arsenal for. And I think Mason Taylor is gonna have a big game. He had a big last couple minutes in that LSU Ole Miss game.
He made the most underrated play of that game on that fourth down. He made a diving catch. He made the most underrated catch of the game.
Yeah, he's awesome. I like him. And then you got Kyron Lacey. He's been really good. I mean, just LSU just keeps.
The guy that's been surprising to me is Aaron Anderson.
Yeah,
He's
he's
been,
always had talent.
he's been incredible for LSU. Like out of this world. Makes so
I
many
think
plays for LSU.
what we didn't talk about in the recap was that perfect throw in that read
Oh,
that
it was
he.
perfect. He wasn't even open. Nesmeyer just anticipates he's going to be there, throws back in the end zone. He's
Yeah.
like, he'll get open.
And
It,
again, it's just going to
it was
be if
the
LSU's
best.
defense.
Granted, I'll give Dylan Gabriel all the credit in the world, but that was the best throw of the night. That was the best throw of the day.
How about so what do you think about Arkansas secondary against LSU's receivers?
LSU's receivers got the massive advantage.
Yeah.
Massive. But
I'll
again,
put
how does Arkansas win the game?
getting to Nussmeier.
You got to make him frustrated.
Yep.
And also Fayetteville, Arkansas Stadium,
It's loud.
exactly what you did against Tennessee. You got to be that X factor. Because again, LSU, you saw them against South Carolina in a tough environment. They struggled early.
Yep. And
And Arkansas can keep a keep a lead, unlike South Carolina can.
yep.
I mean,
It's the Oklahoma State game you forgot about.
yeah, fair point. I'll take that back, but I think Arkansas is a better team. I think
Better
Arkansas is
team,
a
yeah,
better team than South
definitely.
Carolina. I think Arkansas is a better team than South Carolina.
I think if we're going off with what you said like last week with Nico getting frustrated against Arkansas's like front seven, I feel like I definitely trust Will Campbell in that LSU offensive line a lot
I do
more
too. I
to
do
keep
too.
because
But
they were really good against Ole
Tennessee's
Miss.
offensive line isn't that bad. It's
Yeah,
not
that's true.
it isn't even bad that.
That's true. They got both guys. It'll be an interesting battle in the trenches because if Arkansas can win that battle in the offensive line versus defensive line battle,
Yeah.
they have a really good shot to win this game. All right.
Let's get into predictions.
Yeah, you had a big week last week, six
Let's
and two.
go.
You're back. Well, I think you're in the. I'm pretty sure you're in the lead for the full season.
What
If I had to
what
guess,
games do we go up? Okay, so the games we went up against that decided it were I picked Iowa State, you picked West Virginia. Cyclones, baby. They're going Big 12.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're playing good.
BYU, Iowa State, Big 12 championship. Cannot wait. I
K
cannot wait.
State getting back on track against Colorado. That game was awesome to
That
watch.
was that was a great game. Colorado's much improved from last year, but
They missed Travis Hunter bad when he went out of the
eh,
game. Avery Johnson made
Colorado's
that
not going to be a great team
incredible.
this year. Just saying.
Avery Johnson's starting to make some better throws too. He made a really
Avery
good throw.
Johnson is a weird quarterback.
Yeah,
He's weird, but Kansas State, they're still in it. They're still in the Big 12 race, even though they lost to BYU. That BYU loss still looks pretty
they got
good.
an interesting game this weekend against West Virginia that we'll get into in this picks. But let's head into the first game. This is an interesting game.
This is a
Miami
trap.
taking
This is
into
a trap
Louisville.
game.
Yeah,
It's a trap game. Louisville's coming off a bye.
I think
No,
I already met
they're
around
not.
them.
Miami's no, they're not. Miami's coming off a bye. Louisville's not.
Yeah, Louisville. I think they squeaked past Virginia. It's definitely a look ahead game.
Miami, if Miami's legit, they'll take care of business with ease.
I think
If
I'm taking Ja'Cory Brooks in Louisville in this game.
you got the upset,
I got the upset.
I've got.
I just don't trust Miami's defense, man.
I
They
don't
fell into a
either.
hole
I
quick
don't
against.
either. But I watched the Miami SMU game. Cam Ward is way better than Kevin Jennings, and Kevin Jennings torched Louisville.
Yeah, with his feet. With
Yeah.
his feet, torched him a lot more. Cam Ward doesn't really run that much though.
Oh, this is a really interesting game. This is an interesting game because in preseason, everyone thought the rules would be switched.
Yeah.
Nebraska, Indiana. Everyone thought Nebraska would be undefeated going into getting ready for the Ohio State game at this point. But who's the team that's undefeated looking toward the Ohio State game? The Hoosiers. The Hoosiers.
Who do you who do you got in this game?
Give me the red hot Indiana Hoosiers. It's
Oh,
in
what?
it's in Indiana. It's
Yeah.
in Indiana. I like Indiana. Come on, Indiana, keep it going.
I think I'm gonna take Indiana here too as well, but I really don't like it that much. I always just
I
like
don't like it.
Nebraska
I
too
don't
because
like it at
they're
all.
a cool
I don't
story.
like it at all. No, I agree. I don't like it at all.
No, I think Nebraska. I think they're coming. No, they're not coming off a bye. I think they played Rutgers last week.
Yeah. All right, you want to go next?
This is another interesting game. Auburn at Missouri. I think Missouri is only favored by like 4 or 5 points
This
in
is
this
it.
game.
I'm picking the upset. Give me the Weagles. Give me the Weagles.
Give me Missouri. Both teams are coming up. Missouri played a very interesting game last week. They played at UMass in Massachusetts. They beat them bad. They beat UMass bad. So it's kind of like a tune-up game almost. But give me Mizzou to kind of like turn things around and get things back to where they were last year, but not on defense. Their defense is bad, but it
I
could
think
be a shootout in this game, honestly.
Auburn's got to win one of these games, I think.
I
And
feel like I could see a shootout, definitely.
I don't see a shootout. I see like a very sloppy game.
Yeah, I could see that too. But I could see things getting out of hand with both defenses
This is
being bad.
probably the best game at 11 a.m., to be honest.
Man, Nebraska, Indiana.
That game's at 11 a.m.?
Yeah, it's the big noon game. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure.
All right,
I'm pretty
nice.
sure the Louisville.
That's actually a good big noon game.
Let me see. I think the Miami Louisville game is also at
Yeah, it does.
11.
We'll
That's at
look it up
11
later.
a.m.
We'll look it up later.
Miami Louisville is at 11 a.m.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. The third Saturday in October. Who gets the cigar?
I think Alabama is gonna.
Alabama.
Tennessee's got a lot more problems that are starting to show. I mean, Alabama's got problems. They both got problems, but I think I trust the core. I trust Jalen Milroe more than I do Nico at this point. A lot more.
I trust I trust Cam. This is going to be weird for Alabama fans to say, but I trust Cam Womack more than I do Pete Gold. Cam Womack's pass defense more than Pete Golding's last time. I got the Tide. I got the Tide. They're gonna believe me, there's a ton of guys on that team that were there in 22 that got embarrassed against Tennessee. They want this win for DeBoer, and they've heard everyone talk about them being soft, being tough. If they go into Knoxville and beat Tennessee, the hype train's back for Alabama. But
Definitely.
even if it's a close game between these two,
See,
and
it's going to be a close game. We all know this.
yeah, we all know it is. It's going to come down to like which quarterback plays better. And right now, I like Milrow more than Nico. Nico's
Definitely.
had more problems, and I
I,
trust Milrow more.
I think this is going to be a. I feel like Nico has a big game coming in
I
this.
think
I
the
feel
strengths of
like,
Alabama outweigh the strengths of Tennessee just barely. Believe me, no money's going to go into this game for me.
and yeah, definitely not. All right. Another interesting ranked matchup. Michigan at Illinois. Speaking of Illinois, did you see how they like choked a massive lead against
I
Purdue and then
did.
won in
I
overtime?
did. I did.
So
Uh,
it looks
uh,
they Michigan has a new quarterback, Tuttle. He's not very good. But I don't trust freaking
Altmaier
now. He threw for 390 last game.
again.
I'm taking Michigan. Michigan's run game. This is like a game you just don't want to watch. This is an unwatchable game.
I'm gonna pick Illinois.
Yeah, I feel like it can go either way.
Illinois. I
This is a
like
game you
Bielema.
just don't
I
watch.
like Bielema more as a coach, and I think they'll be able to pass the ball. I think they'll be able to be more balanced than
Yeah,
Michigan. Altmaier's not bad. Their quarterback, Illinois' quarterback, they're not bad. I don't like Michigan. Michigan's a bad. I don't know why they're ranked over like Arkansas, for instance.
yeah. All right,
But
but maybe Arkansas gets ranked after a win this weekend. But what's that?
it's
LSU, Arkansas. Who you got? You have the upset?
no,
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I'm gonna take LSU. LSU is riding a hot hand right now. They after week one,
everyone's saying this is a trap game, but I'm like, I think LSU is a good team. I think
like
LSU's
it's like a fake trap game. Everybody could see it coming. Everybody sees it's like everybody sees it coming that it's just not gonna
yeah.
happen.
I got LSU. I think Gus Nussmeier is a gunslinger. I think Nussmeier and the passing game just I think they get out quick early and then just like cruise.
LSU since coming off that first bye week. I mean, when
That
they ended up,
first that first quarter is going to tell you the entire game, in my opinion.
yeah, because it really did. And last when Arkansas played Tennessee, because Arkansas got off to such a good start.
Yeah,
All right, let's head to the game of the weekend: Georgia, Texas.
upset. Dogs. Dogs. I trust Kirby's. I believe in experience, and I think Georgia needs this win way
Yeah,
more than Texas does. You've got you
I'm gonna take Texas here, but I could see it going either way because Georgia. Look, Texas can lose this game and still be fine because I mean,
both
their schedule.
both these teams are going to be completely fine.
Yeah,
Georgia needs this win more because they got Oklahoma and no, they
Tennessee
got
and
Tennessee,
Ole Miss.
they got Tennessee, Ole Miss, and Florida. Florida, who knows what Florida's going to be by the time the cocktail hour. Texas, they've got really they've got Vanderbilt next week. Then they got Kentucky, then Florida.
Yeah,
Like Texas got the oil money. Probably put
yeah.
they got the easiest
For
SEC
Thanksgiving
I've
Day,
ever, they
Thanksgiving
got the
weekend comes
easiest
around.
SEC schedule I've ever seen. And I hope that someone beats them for the SEC championship so we cannot hear. Texas goes, oh, it's too easy. I'm like, Texas doesn't have to play Alabama,
Better
Tennessee,
hope that they lose this game, and
LSU. They get
if you don't want
Georgia
that to
at home,
happen,
Ole Miss,
if you don't,
Missouri.
if you
I
don't
really,
want that to happen, you better hope
I really hope. I really
they
hope so.
lose to this game and then they lose to A&M.
We'll see. We'll
All
see.
right, let's
Georgia
wrap it
winning.
up
I
quickly.
got Georgia winning this game.
Kansas State, West Virginia to wrap things up. I got Kansas State. West Virginia is just not good. Not good.
West Virginia, West Virginia let you down last week.
Yeah, they let me down. I'm out on them. I'm out on them. K-State.
Don't bet against the Cyclones, man.
West Virginia's coach, I forget his name. He's
Uh,
Neil. I think it's Neil.
Neil Brown. He was on the
Neil
hot seat
Brown.
last year.
He's out. He's out at West
He
Virginia.
was on the hot seat last year, but then they won like 8 games, I believe, last
Yeah.
year. Yeah, he's back on the hot seat. I would be shocked.
Yep. But
But they're
folks,
not they're not the most disappointing team in the Big 12. That goes to Utah, Oklahoma State, and Kansas.
and Cam Rising's trying to get an eighth year. Well, but that will wrap things up with the Fourth and a Mile podcast. Hope everybody enjoyed. It was a long episode, but there was a lot of games to get into.
And we
To talk
both really
about,
wanted to talk about October 12th.
yes, because that was awesome. Well, let's hope this weekend's just as awesome, and hope you guys enjoyed.
Have a good
Have
one.
a